What is the latest then on relations and what unfolded over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a very interesting time between China and U.S. relations as the Biden administration enters its first full week in office. And we haven't really necessarily seen a clear China policy yet. So far, Biden has held off from making many declarations or executive orders on the Trump decisions on China. We'll talk a little bit about this denied statement coming from, the Chinese who would want to have some back-channel meetings with the United States. I'll talk about that in a second. But keep in mind, with Taiwan, the United States and the Biden administration doesn't have a national security team yet in place, and the Secretary of State designate, Antony Blinken, has not yet been confirmed by Congress. So there's some uncertainty there as well. But surely Taiwan is a potential flashpoint continuing into the Biden administration between China and the United States. What Taiwan is saying over the weekend is that there was a mainland Chinese air sortie that went into the air identification zone of Taiwan. 13 aircraft, including, I believe, about 8 H-6K bombers from the People's Liberation Army. And then also, as well, the United States sent the Theodore Roosevelt carrier team, task force into the South China Sea on what they called routine operations. However, of course, it's seen, both moves by the Chinese and the United States, as a bit provocative. But the State Department, even without Antony Blinken yet being confirmed, putting out a statement urging the Chinese to enter into dialogue with Taiwan and stop putting military, diplomatic, and economic pressure on Taiwan. And already, of course, though, the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has spoken with his counterpart in Japan, and both sides are saying that they will do whatever it takes to keep the status quo in the military balance in the East and South China Seas.
OK, Stephen, there was reporting from the Wall Street Journal suggesting that China was making overtures to the US to try and set up some kind of high-level meeting. What do we know? How has China responded?
Well, China's embassy in Washington has denied that. They've refuted this report that through back-channel efforts through the Chinese ambassador in Washington had sent reportedly letters to U.S. officials saying they would propose the former foreign minister and now senior Politburo member Yang Jiechi to go to Washington, D.C., have behind-the-scenes meetings to kind of seek a reset in China-U.S. relations. Well, the embassy has since put out a statement saying this is not true. Now, we have to kind of read between the lines and say, well, I mean, do the Chinese, because people familiar with the situation are saying the Chinese do want a reset in relations, but neither side really wants to show too much of an eagerness to be the first one to make that overture because they have to play to their domestic audience. Definitely in the United States, there is growing bipartisan support with the Biden administration not necessarily to go easy on the Chinese. Obviously, the Trump administration did a number of different executive orders and moves in the waning days of their administration to put the pressure on the Biden administration to keep some of those policies in place. And like I said, neither side necessarily wants to show a sign of weakness right out of the gates.